Hello guys, what's up? This is MAHAJAN. I hope that you are doing absolutely well. So guys, what's up and welcome to day one of our practice batch. This practice batch of GST is 100% English batch, and I'm launching this 100% English batch for the first time for you guys. So all these lectures are going to be freshly recorded lectures, and I'm going to provide you all the freshly recorded lectures only. I'm not going to dub anything, and I'm not going to give you like this, but everything will be freshly recorded. So yes, before we move ahead, it is really very important for us to understand that how we are going to go ahead with the batch, right? So first of all, the practice batch does not have only solving of questions. It has, first of all, I will make sure that your concepts are clear. I will make sure that you everybody is on the same page, and then we will move ahead with the questions. After solving the questions, I will also give a lot of tests to solve that. I am expecting that you will also give your 200% in this batch to make sure that my 200%, your 200% will make it 400%. Very important part. And I will give you a proper planner how many days we will take to complete the entire batch. So I'll just show you that how many days we will take to complete the batch. Just have a look here. 1 second. Yeah. So I have made a rough plan that for introduction of GST you will take 1 day, supply we will take 2 days, charge we will take 2 days, time of supply, value of supply, exemptions. So this is a rough estimate, and according to this, we will take approximately 19 days to finish your entire GST, which will have concepts as well as the questions. Ekdam perfect. Okay, now let's move ahead with the first chapter which we have, that is basics of GST. So in this one lecture only we will finish the entire the basics of GST. So please pay utmost attention here. Okay, so sir, our taxation paper is of 100 marks, correct? So 100 marks, may direct tax has 50 marks and indirect tax has 50 marks. Ekdam simple. Okay. Now, if you see the question paper, you will find that 30 marks are of MCQs, right? And which are the most tricky part, which is the most tricky part, and the 70 marks is descriptive, right? So, how are we going to tackle this? Everything you'll understand, everything we will discuss everything. So don't worry at all. So first of all, let's start with the first topic, that is basics of GST. Sir, you please tell me what is the full form of GST. Please tell me what is the full form of GST. Sir, we know this. Full form of GST is goods and service tax. No. The full form of GST is goods and services tax. Please don't make a mistake. I know it's a very small point to consider because, sir, what is this? Goods and service tax and goods and services tax. I can't see any major difference. You can't see any major difference, but it is really very important for you to understand this difference, because once you will qualify maybe as a chartered accountant or a cost accountant or a company secretary, and after that if you say that I have learned, I know goods and service tax, people will make fun of you, and I don't want that to happen. That's why I'm telling you in on day one only that goods and service tax, the full form is goods and services tax and not goods and service tax. Number one. Point number two, what is the year of enactment? The year of enactment of GST is 2017. And if you see the exact date is 1/7/2017. Perfect. On first July 2017, the GST got enacted. Sir, who was the PM and who was the FM? PM was Shri Narendra Modi ji was our PM when GST got introduced. And who was the FM, finance minister? Finance minister was late Arun Jaitley ji, was the finance minister at that point of time. Perfect. Okay. Sir, is it applicable to Jammu and Kashmir? Because in 2017, they had the right to say no for GST. So please try to understand. Year of enactment of GST for the whole of India, except for Jammu and Kashmir, was 1/7/2017, and Jammu and Kashmir had not said yes earlier. For Jammu and Kashmir, the law got implemented from 8/7/2017. So for Jammu and Kashmir, it is not applicable from 1/7, it is applicable from 8/7. Perfect. Okay. Next point is GST is applicable on what? Very simple. GST is applicable on goods and services. Simple. Point number 6, sir, which is the first country to implement GST? First country to implement GST is France, and in 1954, the GST got introduced in France. Now, I have a simple question that, sir, are we too late to implement GST? Or if we have not implemented GST, will we call it a backward region or backward country? Absolutely no. See, try to understand, there are many countries still who have not implemented GST as of now. For example, Dubai. Dubai has not implemented GST. UK does not have GST. So does it mean that these countries are backward? Absolutely no. Please try to understand, for implementing GST, we need to have that much of that kind of framework of the government, right? And we have to see a lot of things because of which implementation of GST becomes difficult, right? And that's why in these countries like Dubai, UK, they thought that implementation of GST is not possible for us, and that's why they have continued with VAT. Understanding? Perfect, ekdam. Okay. And in India, actually, it got introduced in 2017, but the discussions about GST had started from early 2000s only. Okay. So, and finally, in 2017, it got implemented. Perfect. Just for your information, I've just given this table about the GST collection in 2024. Sir, what do you think? Which state must be contributing the most in GST? Maharashtra is the state which is contributing the most in GST. If you can see this, Maharashtra, the total collection in 2024 was 3,18,000 rupees, 3,18,497 crores in April, in the last year, and only in case of in the month of April 25 recent, it has 41,645 crore. This is only for information. Nothing is going to come in your exam related to this. Don't worry. Perfect. Okay, then Karnataka, then Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh. Perfect. Okay, let's move ahead. Sir, let's discuss about one thing. What was the earlier law before implementation of GST? What was the earlier law? Number one. See, as you know that there were different taxes for goods and there were different taxes for services. So earlier, what used to happen is, okay, we will draw this diagram from scratch. Okay. Okay. Now I want to sell goods. Now, if I want to sell goods, first of all, I will manufacture those goods. Okay. Once I start my manufacturing, I had to pay excise duty on manufacturing. Sir, I did not sell. Does not matter. Does not matter whether you have sold those goods or no. Since you have manufactured those goods, khel khatam, which means you will have to pay excise duty. Understanding? Okay. Next point. Once I have manufactured these goods, of course, I'll have to sell these goods. Perfect. So whenever I will sell these goods, at that point of time, I will have to see whether I'm selling these goods interstate or intrastate. That is within the state or outside the state. If I'm selling these goods within the state, I will call that transaction as intrastate transaction. I will call that transaction as, intrastate transaction. And if I'm selling the goods in a different state, I will call that transaction as interstate transaction. Perfect. Now, I manufactured the goods, I'll have to pay excise duty. If I have to sell these goods, if it is intrastate transaction within the same state, then in that case, I had to pay value added tax, that is VAT. And if it is between two states, then in that case, I had to pay sales tax. Understanding? Perfect. Or you can say central sales tax. Okay, CST. Okay, sir. Sir, I manufactured the goods, I had to pay excise duty. If I have to sell it, if it is within the state, it is VAT. If it is between two states, then in that case, I had to pay CST, that is central sales tax. Super. Okay. So this is the background of goods. Perfect. Okay. And this is very important for us to understand. And if I talk about services, of course, I had to pay what? Service tax. Okay, sir. We understood. Now let's talk about this point that which revenue will go to which government. For example, if I get any revenue from excise duty, it will go to which government? It will go to, can you try answering this? This, this, and service tax. I will give you 10 seconds to think and then we will discuss. Discuss as in I will discuss. So excise duty का revenue will go to central government. Excise duty का revenue will go to central government. VAT का revenue will go to state government. Okay. Central sales tax revenue will go to central government and service tax का revenue will go to central government. And this is also very important for us to understand because we need to understand why did they introduce GST? And for that, we need to understand this. So excise duty will go to central government. Intrastate, which means VAT will go to state government. Interstate, central sales tax will go to central government. And service tax will go to central government. Superb, sir. Let's move ahead. Sir, what is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax? Very simple point. Very simple point. Let's take an example that I'm working in a company and I'm getting 10 crore rupees as salary. 10 crores. Let's take an example. If I'm getting 10 crore rupees, of course, I will not be coming in front of you and teaching this. But yes, let's take an example that my income is 10 crores. I have a simple question. It is whose income? Amit Mahajan's income. If it is Amit Mahajan's income, who will have to go to the government and pay the income tax? Who will have to go to the government and pay the income tax? Of course, Amit Mahajan will have to go to the government and pay the income tax. There is no doubt about this. Correct? Okay. So, Amit Mahajan will go to the government and pay the income tax. Okay, no problem. Now, I will take one more example. I will continue this example. Just 1 minute. Yeah. I will continue this example. Now, I am earning 10 crores. Okay, no problem. But I'm married. So, ultimately, my expenses are very high. Correct? I'm married and my expenses are very high because my wife is very demanding. She needs everything branded. Matlab, she wants only Apple phone. She can't use any other phone. Oh, she wants only Apple. वो भी pro चाहिए. She wants only pro. Then if she wants to use the headphones, then in that case she will not buy anything else other than with AirPods. She will only buy AirPods. She wants AC, that also 5-star AC. So she's very demanding. Basically, you can feel me, right? What kind of struggle I'm having, even though I'm earning what 10 crore rupees. Correct? Okay. Now what happens is she said that she wants to change the AC. I can't say anything. I had to go to the Chroma and I have to purchase another AC. So I went to Chroma and I asked that Chroma guy, please, can you please show me one 5-star AC which will be reasonable? My wife said, no, we want 5-star AC. I said, okay, madam, okay, no problem, madam, okay. So I want 5-star AC. So Chroma, of course, sold that 5-star AC to me. We bought it. And along with the AC, they gave me one more expensive thing, that is tax invoice. Perfect. Now, if I see the value of that particular AC, I can see the value as 1 lakh. Of course, they will charge GST on that, and it is 1 lakh 18,000. Sorry, the GST will be 18%. It will be what 18,000. Okay, and then the final figure which they took from me, that is 1 lakh 18,000. Perfect. So I must have given Chroma 1 lakh 18,000. Now you think from Chroma's perspective. What did Chroma do with these 1 lakh 18,000 rupees? So Chroma took 1 lakh 18,000, kept 1 lakh in its pocket, and gave 18,000 to government. Perfect? Okay. Now let's understand what is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax. Can I say that in case of income tax, I earned income of 10 crores. I paid income tax on 10 crores. It is whose responsibility to go to the government and pay the income tax? It was Amit Mahajan's responsibility to go to the government and pay the income tax. Please try to understand here the person who is earning the income and person who is going to the government and paying the income tax is the same. So can I say I went to the government and paid the income tax? So can I say I paid the tax directly to the government? Yes, and that's why this income tax is known as direct tax. But in case of GST, can I say who ultimately who is ultimately bearing the burden? Of course, Amit Mahajan is ultimately bearing the burden. But please tell me one thing: am I going to the government and paying the income tax? Am I going to the government and paying the income? Sorry, am I going to the government and paying the GST? Absolutely no. But I'm not going to the government and paying the GST, but I'm going to Chroma and giving 18,000 rupees to Chroma, where Chroma is going ultimately to the government and paying the GST of 18,000. But 18,000 rupees is given to the Chroma by Amit Mahajan only. So can I say ultimately the person who paid that GST is Amit Mahajan only? Understanding. So, did I pay this GST? Did I pay this GST directly to the government? No, I paid this GST through Chroma. So, can I say I paid this tax of GST to the government, not directly, but indirectly, and that's why this GST is known as an indirect tax. The tax which is paid indirectly to the government, that tax is known as an indirect tax. Perfect. Okay. Now I hope this is clear. This was basic. Okay, let's understand the basic concept of input tax credit. Okay. Then there is one manufacturer, there is one retailer, and there is one consumer. Okay. There is one manufacturer. Manufacturer sold certain goods to the retailer worth 10 lakhs. And of course, they will charge GST of 1 lakh rupees. Let's assume that the GST is 1 lakh. Okay. What will retailer do? Retailer will make a payment of 11 lakhs to the manufacturer. Okay. Now, please tell me, retailer is giving the goods further, right? So retailer will sell these goods further for 15 lakhs, and on that 1.5 lakhs ka GST will be applicable. So consumer will pay 1.5 lakhs. Sorry, consumer will pay 16.5 lakhs to the retailer, which has 1.5 lakh ka tax. Now, can I say it is retailer's responsibility to go to the government and pay this 1.5 lakhs ka tax? Yes. So, what is retailer's outward tax? What is retailer's outward tax? Retailer's outward tax is 1.5 lakhs. But can I say on the same goods, retailer has already paid 1 lakh rupees ka tax at the time of purchase? Because on the same goods, can I say retailer paid 11 lakhs, which means it has 10 lakhs plus 1 lakh. So this 1 lakh rupees, this manufacturer must have paid to the government. So can I say this 1 lakh rupees is already with the government for these goods? Perfect understanding. And I have to pay how much? 1.5 lakhs. I am telling this to the government. Government, you already have my 1 lakh rupees. So I'm not going to pay 1 lakh rupees once again. So my outward tax is 1.5. But can I say I will be able to take the credit of 1 lakh? I will be able to take a credit of 1 lakh. So 50,000 rupees is the GST liability which the retailer has towards the government. Perfect. So 1.5 lakhs is his outward tax. 1 lakh is his credit, that is input tax. He will be able to take the credit of this input tax, which means he will have to pay the GST liability of 50,000 rupees. I hope that you are crystal clear with this concept. Perfect. Okay. Let's take another example. There is one manufacturer. I think this is the same example. Let's go ahead with another example, different example. Okay. Now, you know that I'm into teaching. Of course, that's why you are watching my video. So, you all are these innocent kids. Okay. What happened is, I'm telling you that, I will give you the service of teaching. You will have to pay me some consideration. Okay, no problem. Now, you paid me from all the students cumulatively. I got 1 crore rupees. Felt good. 1 crore rupees. Then I must have charged GST also. So assume that I charge GST of 10 lakh rupees. So GST of 10 lakh rupees. Okay, no problem. So I will have to pay 10 lakh rupees ka GST to the government, everybody. Yes, perfect. For giving this service, so I'm making a video in front of you that don't you think I also must be having some inward supplies? Of course, yes, because I will need an AC to sit in a room, correct? So I will need an AC. I will buy that AC for 1 lakh rupees, where the GST component is 10,000. Perfect. After that, I will need a camera to shoot myself. So shoot as in shoot myself. So that's why I bought the camera for 2 lakh rupees, where the GST component is 20,000 rupees. Perfect. Now I bought a laptop also, because from that laptop only I will teach you, right? So I bought a laptop for 1 lakh rupees, and the GST which I paid for buying the laptop is 10,000 rupees. So I can say here that I paid 10,000, 20,000, and 10,000 ka GST while purchasing and availing the services. Correct? In this case, purchasing these goods. So can I say all these goods or all these inward supplies which I'm having, that is for providing service to you, right? So don't you think I should get the ITC of 10,000, 20,000, and 10,000 also? Absolutely right. So government said no problem. So do one thing. What is Amit's outward tax? What is Amit's outward tax? Amit's outward tax is 10 lakhs. What is Amit's ITC? Now, for availing the ITC, it is not mandatory to sell AC only. If my inward supply is AC, my outward supply should only be AC, then only I will get the ITC. No. If anything I'm purchasing, which I'm using it for my outward supply, I will get the ITC of everything. So can I say AC is required for a business? Yes. This camera is required for my business? Yes. This laptop is required for my business? Yes. And that's why I will get the ITC for all these things. And that's why my ITC amount will be 10 plus 20 plus 10, which will be 40,000 rupees. So my outward tax comes to 10 lakhs minus 40,000, that is 9 lakhs. Are you clear with this concept of ITC? Perfect. Chalo, let's move ahead. Let's try to understand now what is the exact need, or what was the exact need of introduction of GST. What was the problem earlier? Let's understand the problem first. Okay. Now, again, I will take an example of manufacturer, retailer, and consumer. Perfect. Manufacturer, retailer, and consumer. Okay. Let's come here and write it here at as cost of this manufacturer. One second. Okay. Cost of this manufacturer is 1 lakh rupees. Just one second. What is happening? Okay. Cost for the manufacturer is 1 lakh rupees. Of course, he will also add profit. Profit, say for example, that profit is 10,000. And the selling price comes to 1 lakh 10,000. Okay. Now, okay, I'll again tell you what is happening here. Before GST, what was the law? We are discussing everything about VAT. When VAT was there, what was the condition? Right? So, manufacturer was there, retailer was there, and consumer was there. Manufacturer was manufacturing the goods. They must be paying excess duty also. Let's ignore that excess duty for the time being to understand this example. Right? After that, that manufacturer must be selling the goods to the retailer, and retailer must be selling the goods to the consumer. Can I say VAT is charged at this point also, and VAT is charged at this point also? Perfect. Okay. Manufacturer's cost to make the goods is 1 lakh rupees. Profit is 10,000 rupees, and the selling price is 1 lakh 10,000 rupees. Okay. Now, of course, that manufacturer will charge VAT at the rate of 10%, assuming the rate is 10%. So, 10% comes to what? 11,000 rupees. So, what is the amount which the manufacturer will charge from the retailer? It is going to be 1 lakh 21. Understanding? Perfect. So this is the amount which the retailer will charge from the manufacturer will charge from the retailer. And this is the amount, that is 1,21,000, which will be paid by the retailer to the manufacturer. Okay. I have a simple question to ask. Can you please tell me what will be the cost for the retailer? Can you please tell me what will be the cost for the retailer? One small hint and one small additional information. Whenever retailer will sell the goods further, retailer is going to get a credit. मतलब जो 11,000 है उसका credit retailer is going to get. Okay, just this is the hint I want to give you. Now, can you try? My question is very simple. What will be the cost for the retailer? You will see, sir, very simple. Cost for the retailer is the amount which is paid by the retailer. What is the amount which is paid by the retailer? The amount which is paid by the retailer is 1,21,000. Sir, what is this question? 1,21,000 is going to be the cost. Very simple. But no, you are absolutely wrong. If you're thinking 1,21,000 is the cost for the retailer, you are absolutely wrong. I will say the cost for the retailer is the cost for the retailer is only and only 1,10,000. Sir, what are you saying? Cost for the retailer is only 1,10,000, but he paid 121. I agree. I agree he paid 121, but this retailer is going to get a benefit of 11,000 rupees. Whenever he will sell it further, at that point of time, he is going to take a credit of 11,000 rupees. That's why retailer ke liye, for that retailer, this VAT of 11,000 rupees is not his cost. But sir, he paid 11,000 rupees. How can you say it is not his cost? I will give you one simple example. Okay. Let's take a simple example. If you go to Chroma and you want to buy one phone, and that cost of that phone is 1 lakh rupees. Okay. You at the time of payment of 1 lakh rupees, you ask that shopkeeper, boss, do you have any discount on this? He said, we don't have any discount on this particular phone, but if you use ICICI credit card, you will get 10,000 cashback. Right? I said, okay, I have ICICI credit card, and if I use this credit card, I will get a cashback after 90 days. He said, you will get a cashback after 90 days. Okay, I will repeat this. I went to Chroma and I asked Chroma I wanted to buy a phone. I asked Chroma to give me a phone. That phone was costing 1 lakh rupees, and I asked for a discount. He said he does not, he can't give any discount right now. But I asked for a discount, then he said that you can do one thing. If you use ICICI credit card, you will get 10,000 rupees cashback after 90 days. I said, the deal is good. Yeah? Let's do one thing. Let's go ahead with ICICI credit card. So what did I do? I swiped ICICI credit card and my amount got debited was 1 lakh rupees. Barabar. And I'm going to get 10,000 rupees cashback. Okay. You got the phone, you came outside the shop and you, or maybe one friend, you saw one friend and that friend asked you, what did you buy? You said that, I bought one iPhone, and that person asked for the price, that for how much amount did you buy this phone for? What will you say? What is the actual cost for you? Is it 1 lakh rupees or is it 90,000 rupees? You know that, this from inside, that this is costing 90,000. But can I say that you will always say that this phone is of 90,000 rupees and not 1 lakh rupees? Why? Because you are going to get a cashback of 10,000 rupees. But can I say, did you pay 1 lakh rupees right now? Yes. You have paid 1 lakh rupees right now and you are going to get a benefit at a future date. So you know that you are going to get a benefit of 10,000 rupees at a future date, that is after 90 days. That's why you said the cost of the phone was 90,000 and not 1 lakh. Coming to the same point here, can I say you are right now paying 1,21,000, but you know that you are going to get a benefit of 11,000 rupees in future, and that's why the cost for you, even though you have paid 1,21,000, the cost for you is only 1,10,000 and not 1,20,000. Exactly like iPhone, even though you have paid 1 lakh rupees, but you know that you are going to get a benefit of 10,000 rupees. That's why your cost is not actually 1 lakh. It is actually what? 90,000 rupees. You can use the same example here. Understanding? So when the retailer will sell this phone further, or these goods further, he will also add some profit, right? Say for example, the profit is 20,000 and the selling price comes to 1,30,000 to the customer, correct? Of course, retailer will also charge VAT, so it is going to be 13,000. Okay, sir, 13,000 VAT. So this will come as 1,43,000 rupees. 1,43,000 rupees. Now, can I say when that retailer will take money from the retailer will take money from the customer? What is retailer's outward tax? Outward tax 13,000. Can I say 13,000 got credited in retailer's bank account because he got it from customer? So will he pay 13,000 to the government? No, he will take the ITC or credit, you can say, of 11,000 rupees. So can I say 2,000 rupees he will have to pay to the government? Okay. So can I say he got the benefit of 11,000 rupees here? So can I say now, are you convinced that 11,000 rupees is not retailer's cost? Yes, because he is going to get a credit of this 11,000 rupees. Perfect. Okay. Now, can you please tell me what is consumer's cost? If you get it right, I will say that you have understood the concept. What will be consumer's cost? The consumer cost is going to be 1,43,000. Sir, here, why not 1,30,000? Because consumer is not going to get a credit of this 13,000 rupees because he's a consumer. And that's why cost for him is going to be 1,43,000. Perfect. Because the consumer never gets the credit, the ultimate burden of the tax, that is VAT, that is on the consumer, and consumer will not get the credit. That's why the cost for the consumer is 1,43,000. Super. Now let's come back to the point where GST is introduced. If GST is okay, when GST was not there, we discussed when VAT was there, what is the situation? Let's discuss when GST is there, what will be the situation? Same example, manufacturer, retailer, and consumer. Let's come here and take an example. Cost. What is the cost? 1 lakh rupees is the cost. What is the profit? 10,000 rupees is the profit. What is the selling price? 1,10,000 is the selling price. What is the GST? If GST is applicable, 11,000 is the GST. Can I say 121 is the value? Yes. Sir, what is the cost for the retailer? Using the same logic, can I say this retailer will get the credit of this 11,000 rupees everyone? And that's why cost for the retailer is not 1,21,000, it is actually 1,10,000. Perfect. What is the profit? Profit is 20,000 rupees. Perfect. What is the selling price? Selling price is say 1,30,000 rupees, and of again GST is charged at 13,000 rupees. So value comes to 1,43,000. Now, what will be the cost for the consumer? Of course, he's a consumer. That's why the cost is going to be 1,43,000. Cost for the consumer is 1,43,000. But sir, I did not understand one thing. When GST was not there, the computation was the same. When GST got introduced, computation is still the same. So why did they introduce GST? So my point is, if this is the situation, there was no requirement of introducing GST. As I have proved that this is not the reason for introduction of GST, and that's why we were checking step by step. Okay, is this the problem? Was VAT the problem? No. Okay, we understood that when VAT was there, ultimately the amount which will come on the burden which will come on the consumer, it is going to be 143 only. If GST is there, ultimately the cost for the consumer is 143 only. So here there is no problem in VAT, and this is not the reason for introduction of GST. Now let's discuss let's discuss one more example where VAT and service tax is there. Okay, let's take an example. There is one consultant here. He's from Maharashtra. Okay. And there is one client here who is from West Bengal. Okay. Now, of course, that client is asking for some consultancy service. Okay. And that consultant said, no problem. I will give you that consultancy service. Okay. This Maharashtra guy charged 1,30,000 rupees to the client for providing consultancy service. So, can I say if GST is not there, before GST, for providing any service, can I say service tax was charged? Right? So on 1,30,000 rupees, service tax of 13,000 was charged. Perfect. So please tell me for the client, what is going to be, how much amount will client pay to the consultant? 1,30,000 and 13,000 ka service tax. Okay, perfect. Now, for providing this service, consultant needs a laptop, AC, whatever it is. So say for example, consultant bought a laptop from a laptop vendor and he's also from Maharashtra. Okay, ठीक है. Now, please understand, laptop vendor charged 1 lakh rupees from the consultant And since it is in the same state, the transaction is happening within the same state, can I say sale of goods within the same state? Pe lagega VAT. What will be applicable? VAT will be applicable, and assume that the rate is going to be 10%. So amount will be 10,000 rupees. Perfect. So Maharashtra guy, that consultant, will pay 10,000 rupees VAT to that laptop vendor. Okay, no problem. Now I have one simple question. Will this consultant be able to take the credit of this 10,000 against this 30,000? Ideally, the answer should be yes. That this laptop was used for providing this service. And that's why this 10,000 rupees credit should be used for utilizing against 13,000 rupees of service tax. Perfect. But please understand one thing. There was a major practical difficulty which we were facing. And what was the practical difficulty? Okay. You tell me one thing. This service tax revenue, this service tax cost. Okay. So I collected 130 and 13,000 rupees service tax. I will keep that 130 with me, and 13,000 rupees service tax I will pay to the government. Yes. Now let's discuss, this service tax will be paid to which government? This service tax will be paid to which government? This service tax will be paid to central government. Matlab, it will go to Modi ji. Now, when I'm giving this 13,000 rupees to Modi ji, I told Modi ji that I will not pay 13,000 Modi ji, I will pay only 3,000 rupees to you, because I have already given 10,000 rupees to you at the time of purchase of laptop, and that's why I will give only 3,000 rupees to you. So Modi ji is like, why 3,000? Why not 13,000? Again, I'm saying that Modi ji, you did not understand my sentence. I said that I have to pay 13,000 rupees to you, but I agree that I have to pay 13,000. But I have already paid 10,000 rupees to you, at the time of purchase of laptop. Now Modi ji is searching for that 10,000 rupees. Modi ji did not find that 10,000 rupees. So please understand, where did this 10,000 go? Understand one thing, when the laptop vendor was charging the amount of VAT from the consultant, laptop vendor collected 10,000 rupees as VAT, but this VAT revenue will go to which government? This VAT revenue will go to Maharashtra government. Can I say this 10,000 was there with Maharashtra government? Now, can I say that Modi ji, I had already given 10,000 rupees to Maharashtra government? Why will Modi ji say, okay, no problem, you have paid 10,000 rupees to Maharashtra government? No, you pay 10,000 rupees less and you pay only 3,000 rupees to me. Why will Modi ji agree to this? Did we pay to Modi ji? No. So will Modi ji agree to give us credit of 10,000 rupees? No. So please understand, my inward supply, pay the tax which is getting paid, that is to the state government, and on my outward supply, the tax it is going to be paid, that is to the central government. And that's why there was a difficulty in taking a credit of the state government against the outward tax of central government. And that's why, even though I have paid 10,000 rupees ka tax, but still I was not getting a credit of 10,000, Modi ji asked me to pay entire 13,000 rupees. Why? Because Modi did not agree with the sentence that I have already paid 10,000 rupees to Maharashtra government. He did not agree to this fact. And that's why I have to pay 13,000 rupees as it is to the central government. And of course, 10,000 rupees I have already paid to the laptop vendor, and laptop vendor must have paid to the government. So can I say this is a burden? I'm not going to get a credit of this. Yes. So what is going to be the consequence? I will tell you what is going to be the consequence. Please pay attention here. When laptop vendor is selling the laptop to the consultant, can I say laptop vendor must be having some cost? Say for example, that is 10,000 rupees. This pen is not working. Say for example, it is 70,000 rupees. Okay. Now he added profit to it. Profit, say for example, is 30,000 rupees. What is the selling price? Selling price is 1 lakh. Perfect. He will charge VAT to it. Perfect. So 1,10,000. Okay. So it will come to 1,10,000. Okay. What will be if consultant is not going to get a credit of 10,000 rupees? What will be consultant's cost? Can you please tell me? If consultant is not going to get a credit of 10,000 rupees, what will be consultant's cost? consultant's cost will not be 1 lakh rupees. Consultant's cost in this case will be 1 lakh 10,000 rupees. And the reason is, for this consultant, the credit of this 10,000 rupees is not available. And that's why it will become his cost. And the cost will be 1 lakh 10,000. Are you understanding this? Perfect. Now let's understand the profit. He will also add some profit and everything. Okay, so cost for this is 1,10,000 rupees, and the profit will become, say, for example, 40,000 rupees, and the amount will come as one. Okay, and 1,50,000 per service tax comes to 115,000. So service tax will come to 15,000, and the value will be 1. So this is another example. Don't consider this 130 here. This is another example. So what is going to be that client's cost? Client's cost is going to be 1,65,000. My only point here was, take 1 minute. The only point was, it will be added to the cost. Since it is being added to the cost of the consultant, ultimately it will add this cost of the client, because consultant's cost is high. So of course, ultimate burden of that cost of additional 10,000 will go to the client. So don't you think this is wrong? This is absolutely wrong. And I will give you one more example of this, why this is wrong. While I am computing this service tax of 10%, please understand one thing. While I'm computing the service tax of 10%, can I say this 10% is on 1,50,000, everyone? Correct? So this 1,50,000, let's break it down. This 1,50,000 has two components. One will be of 1,10,000 and second will be of 40,000. So there is no problem of 40,000. Problem is in 1,10,000. I will further bifurcate this 1,10,000 into two parts. 1 lakh rupees and the GST here, 1 lakh rupees, and this VAT of 10,000 rupees. So I will come here and write VAT of 10,000. Okay. Now, please tell me one thing. This service tax of 10%, this service tax of 10% is on 1,50,000. Perfect. 150 has the cost of 110 and profit of 40,000. Okay. When we are computing this cost of 110, can I say 10,000 rupees is a VAT component, which is a tax component? Yes. So can I say I'm charging service tax of 10% on 1 lakh rupees also and 10,000 rupees also? So can I say I'm computing tax of 10% of service tax on the VAT component also? And this is called tax on tax. This is called as a tax on tax, and this is ethically not right. You are charging tax on tax, and this is why you are getting this cascading effect. What do you call this as? This is called as a cascading effect. When you have a tax on tax, this is called as cascading effect, right? So don't you think this is wrong? Because service tax of 10% is on 150. 150 has 1 lakh 10 and 40,000. In this 1 lakh 10,000, there is a component of VAT of 10,000 rupees. So can I say we are computing service tax of 10% on the VAT component also? This is wrong. Understood? Perfect. Okay. And that's why there was a need of introduction of GST, where I will get the credit of everything. I will get a credit of everything. Now I will tell you, when GST will be introduced, what will be the answer? See, when GST will be introduced, same situation. Client is asking for the service from consultant. Client is from West Bengal and consultant is from Maharashtra. Okay. Maharashtra guy is providing service of 1,20,000, where GST of 12,000 rupees was charged. Okay, so outward supply पे GST is 12%, 12,000 rupees. Okay. For providing the service, consultant bought a laptop for 1 lakh rupees, where he paid the GST of 10,000 rupees. Okay. Now, can I say his inward supply is also GST, outward supply is also GST? Basis the current understanding, can I say, will I get the credit? Yes, I will get the credit. Because of which, what will be the amount of cost? What was the cost earlier? 70,000, 30,000, right? So cost was 70,000 rupees. Profit is 30,000 rupees. Selling price comes to 1 lakh rupees. On this, GST will be applicable, that is 10,000 rupees. It will come to 1 lakh 10,000 rupees. So since Maharashtra consultant is going to get a credit of this 10,000 rupees, the cost for this Maharashtra guy will not be 1 lakh 10, it will be 1 lakh rupees. So I will write here 1 lakh rupees. Perfect. What was the profit earlier? I will use the profit, same profit, that is 40,000 rupees. So total you will get 1 lakh 50,000 rupees. And on that GST will be applicable, that is 15,000 rupees. So the value is 1 lakh 65,000. So what will be the cost for the what will be the cost for the consultant? Consultant's cost is going to be 1 lakh 65,000. Now, can you tell me one thing? In this case, there is no cascading effect. In this case, can I say there is no cascading effect? Why so? Because this 15,000 rupees, this 10% which is charged, this is on this 1 lakh 50,000. Sorry, you have 140 on it. This should be 140. I was wondering how come the answer coming the same. So this should be 140. So 10% comes to 40,000. So this, sorry, 10% comes to 10% comes to 14,000. So that's why 1 lakh 54,000. And ultimately the cost is going to be 1 lakh 54,000. Correct? This is 1 lakh 54. Now you can see the difference in the cost. So can I say ultimate burden on the consumer or ultimate burden of the cost? What was the cost earlier? 165. Keeping the same profit and everything. Here the cost will come to 1 lakh 54,000. So can I say here there is no cascading effect? Why no? Because you understand this 10,000 10% of GST is computed on 1 lakh 40,000. 140,000 has 40,000 and 1 lakh rupees, and this time this cost does not have any GST component because I'm going to get a credit of 10,000. No, that's why this 10,000 rupees will not form part of this cost. Understanding? Perfect ekdam. So that's why there was a need of introduction of GST. So can I say before introduction of GST, so why didn't we face this problem in the first situation? Because in the first situation, that VAT wala example, my inward supply was also VAT and my outward supply was also VAT. Understanding? So that's why inward supply pay, the credit was going to the same government, and on my outward supply also the amount is going to go to the same government. That's why when there is the same law, like state tax, outward supply is also state tax, there will not be any problem. If my inward supply is central tax, my outward supply is also central tax, there will not be any problem. When will the problem arise? When my inward supply is state tax and my outward supply is central tax, I will face the problem over there. And I was facing a problem over there, and that's why they eliminated this risk by introduction of GST, where you will get the credit at every level. Perfect. Okay, we discussed this. कितना समझा देखते हैं, which means let's see how much you have understood. Okay, if my inward supply is VAT and my outward supply service tax is charged, can you tell me, will I get a credit of VAT? No. Correct? Because VAT का जो revenue है, that goes to state government. Service tax का revenue goes to central government. I will not get it. Service tax and VAT. Service tax का revenue goes to central government and VAT का revenue goes to state government. I will not get a credit. VAT and VAT, state government, same state government, I will get a credit. Service tax, central government, I will get a credit. Sorry, service tax, central government, central government, I will get a credit. Correct. I will get a credit. Correct. I hope you have understood this. Okay. The next part starts. GST is levied by whom? GST is levied by, you know this, central government, and GST is levied by state government, of course. What are the types of GSTs? CGST, that is central GST, SGST, IGST, and UTGST. Again, CGST, SGST, IGST, and UTGST. What is the full form of CGST? Central GST. What is the full form of SGST? State GST. IGST means integrated GST, not international GST. Okay, integrated GST. And UTGST is Union Territory GST. Perfect. Now we need to understand which GSTs are applicable in which situations. Let's see. If it is, assuming the rate is 18%, if it is intrastate supply within the same state, if the supply is intrastate, then two types. Okay, if the supply is intrastate, CGST and SGST is charged half. So CGST 9% and SGST 9%, and of course, if it is a union territory, UTGST will be charged. So CGST and UTGST, perfect, 9% and 9%. But if it is interstate transaction, IGST will be levied, and that is going to be 18%. Perfect. If it is intra, half, inter, 18% IGST. Okay. Sir, I understood that 18% rate is there. Intra hoga to half. If it is inter, then entirely amount will go to as IGST to the government. Which government will see that? Okay. Sir, how to identify whether the supply is interstate? Yeah, whether supply is intrastate or interstate? How will I understand it? Okay, let's understand. You tell me one thing. There is a supplier of Maharashtra, recipient of Maharashtra. Whether this is intrastate or interstate, of course, this is intrastate. Correct. If supplier is of Maharashtra and recipient is of Delhi, is it intrastate or interstate? Of course, this is interstate. Okay. Now, let's understand the provisions of identifying interstate and intrastate transaction. There are two things which you are going to consider. Number one, location of the supplier. Second, location of the recipient. We will not consider the location of the recipient. We have to consider location of the supplier and place of supply. If these two, supplier's location and place of supply, are in the same state, then it is intrastate. If location of the supplier and place of supply are in different states, it is going to be interstate. Which means location of the recipient is absolutely irrelevant for us. Which means, let's take an example here. Okay, sir, how to identify place of supply? For that, we have certain sections under IGST Act, section number 10, section number 11, section number 12, and section number 30. We have to learn section number 10 and section number 12 for the time being. Like, in your syllabus, only two sections are there, 10 and 12. Understanding, everybody? Perfect. Okay. Now, two things are important: location of the supplier and place of supply. Location of the recipient is absolutely irrelevant. Let's take one example. There is one supplier from Tamil Nadu. There is one recipient from Maharashtra. Correct? We made an agreement, and I asked that supplier to deliver the goods to Tamil Nadu only. Okay. So this supplier delivered the goods to one of the godowns in Tamil Nadu. Now, what is the location of the supplier. Location of the supplier is, okay, let's take an example, or I will ask you whether this will be interstate supply or intrastate supply. Whether this will be interstate supply or intrastate supply. Supplier's location is Tamil Nadu. Do we consider recipient's location? No. We consider place of supply. And of course, you must not be knowing right now, or you must have heard this. In place of supply, where the goods are getting delivered, that is the place of supply. And that's why in this transaction, the place of supply is also Tamil Nadu. And that's why this is an intrastate transaction and not interstate transaction. Even though recipient is located in Maharashtra, it does not matter to us because the recipient's location is irrelevant for us. Understanding? So that's why place of supply chapter is also so important for us, because of place of supply, we will understand whether this is going to be interstate or intrastate. And basis that, the revenue of the government will be determined. Correct? Perfect? Okay. So, two things to be considered, whether it is inter or intra. Everybody along with me. Number one, location of the supplier and place of supply. Correct. Perfect. Now we'll see what is GST compensation says, alcohol pay, what is the tax and everything. Okay, we will see this. What are the taxes, or which are the tax? Okay, before that also, I will discuss something more about this. I want to discuss this master chart with you. Okay, let's discuss this master chart. And if you do this master chart, I'm sure that you'll understand everything. Okay, this is the master chart. And before we discuss the master chart, let's discuss this first. Okay, now there are three parties: Inu, Binu, and Tinu. Okay. Inu, Binu, and Tinu. Inu is a manufacturer, Binu is a retailer, and Tinu is a consumer. Okay. No problem. Let's see now. Inu is from Maharashtra. Aram se, just be relaxed and just listen to this. Inu is from Maharashtra. Binu is also from Maharashtra. Manufacturer, retailer are in the same state. And goods are getting delivered. Goods are getting delivered from the manufacturer to the retailer. So can I say 10 lakh rupees is the value? Since it is intrastate, CGST, SGST will be applicable, everybody. CGST, SGST will be applicable 9% and 9%. Okay. This retailer will pay 10 lakh rupees as value of goods, 90,000 rupees as GST component, that is CGST, and 90,000 rupees as SGST. Perfect. Please remember one thing. If it is CGST and SGST, this CGST will go to central government and SGST will go to state government. Perfect. So when Maharashtra ka Inu will make a payment, Inu will always make two separate payments to the government. Number one, 90,000 rupees ka amount will be paid to central government and 90,000 rupees ka amount will be paid to the state government. Two separate payments will be made. Perfect. Okay, no problem. We will keep it here. Let's talk about Binu now. Can I say it was Binu's inward supply? Yes. So Binu must have paid 9%, 9%, which means 90 and 90 here. Yes. So can I say Binu will get the ITC of this? Yes. So whenever she will get the ITC, can I say she will get 90,000 rupees CGST ITC, 90,000 rupees SGST ITC. Simple, no problem. Okay. Now, when Binu is selling the goods further, Binu is from Maharashtra and this Tinu is from Karnataka. Tinu is from Karnataka. Okay, no problem. When Binu is selling the goods to Tinu for 15 lakhs, can I say since it is interstate, IGST at the rate of 18% will be applicable, everyone? IGST at the rate of 18% will be applicable. Okay, sir, no problem. So this Karnataka lady, Tinu, will pay 18% IGST to Maharashtra ke Binu. Can I say Binu will have to pay 18% of IGST to the government? Yes. And this is Binu's outward supply ka tax. That is outward tax. Okay. Now, Binu will go to the government. What is Binu's outward tax? Binu's outward tax is 15 lakhs ka 18%. Let's identify 15 lakhs ka 18% comes to 2,70,000 rupees. Can I say output tax is 2,70,000 rupees? Perfect. Now, can I say that she will be able to use this ITC also? 90 and 90 ka ITC? Yes. So, she will reduce the ITC of 90 and 90. So, of course, 270 minus 180, I should get the answer as 90,000. Perfect. hai? So she will have to pay IGST of 90,000 rupees to the central government. Okay. Now, please try to understand why does it happen where IGST is paid completely as 18% to the center and intrastate half off. Please understand, in case of intrastate, we are only making two separate payments, half to the state and half to the center and half to the state. Okay. But in case of IGST, what happens is I first make a payment to the central government. First, I make a payment to the central government, and then central government will bifurcate 9% and 9% to the state and center, which means center will first collect 18. It will keep 9% with itself and will distribute this 9% at the back end to the state government. Understanding, and this is for the better administration of the tax receipt of the tax revenue. It is better. This eliminates the confusion, or this eliminates all the possible confusions in making a payment of tax. First of all, they said we will do one thing. First, we will make a payment to the center, and this center will then distribute half of the tax to the state at back end. Perfect, no problem. Okay, now just look here. I have a simple question to ask. Can I say when Binu will make a payment of IGST to the government, how much? Like we have discussed 90,000 rupees. This IGST will be paid to the center. Now the question is, we had seen that IGST gets distributed between, like distributed as in it will keep half with itself, central government, and it will distribute half to the state. The question comes, which state? It will go to Maharashtra state or it will go to Karnataka state. What do you think? Dekho, when we make a payment of IGST, first pay entire amount to central government, and then half will be transferred by central government to the state. The question is, which state? Maharashtra state or Karnataka state? Center will distribute half to which state? Because Maharashtra state will say that the seller was from Maharashtra. The goods originated from Maharashtra only. So that's why half revenue should come to Maharashtra. Recipient will say, no, no, no. The goods were consumed in Karnataka. That's why the revenue should go to Karnataka. And that's why they said, no, no, let's decide one thing and let's discuss that GST is a destination based tax. GST is a destination based tax where the goods are getting destined, that is Karnataka will get the half of the revenue and not Maharashtra. You'll say, sir, this is wrong. Why will Maharashtra agree to this? I understand in this transaction it is Maharashtra's loss because Maharashtra is not getting the revenue, but somewhere or the other Maharashtra also must have got those goods, no? So Maharashtra government must have got the GST of that particular SGST. Correct? So please understand here at the time of getting the goods, can I say here SGST was paid to Maharashtra government only? Correct? So please understand, while introduction of GST, all the states should cooperate, then only this will be successful. In this case, in this particular transaction, Maharashtra government will have to sacrifice GST, and they have to understand that in this transaction, maybe Maharashtra government will not get the GST, but in somewhere or the other where Maharashtra must be getting some goods, at that point of time, Maharashtra must be some destination, no? So Maharashtra government must be getting the GST revenue. So in this transaction, which government will get the GST? Karnataka government will get the GST. Understanding? Sure. Okay. Now let's discuss this master chart. Once you understand this master chart, you'll understand everything which is there in the notebook, in the book. Okay. We have four persons now. Number one, manufacturer. Number two, retailer, and consumer. Perfect? Okay. Now, let's take an example. Maharashtra is here there is a manufacturer from Maharashtra. There is a retailer from Maharashtra. Okay. Manufacturer sold certain goods for 1 lakh rupees where GST is charged at the rate of 10%. Okay. So which GST will be charged? CGST or SGST? CGST and SGST. Correct? So here 5,000 rupees SGST and CGST will be charged. Perfect. Can I say Maharashtra ka retailer will get the ITC of CGST and SGST 5,000, 5,000? So retailer will get the ITC of 5,000 and 5,000. Okay. Now retailer of Maharashtra selling the goods to another retailer in Delhi for 1,50,000. Now on this transaction, which GST will be applicable? CGST, SGST or IGST? Of course, on this IGST will be applicable because this is interstate transaction. And that's why IGST of 15,000 rupees will be charged. Perfect, 10% GST. So can I say Maharashtra retailers outward tax is 15,000 of IGST? Yes. So let's come here and write IGST output tax 15,000. So what is the output tax of this person? 15,000 rupees of output tax. And CGST, SGST, that is 5,000 rupees and 5,000 rupees ka credit I will be able to take. And here the answer will be 5,000 rupees of IGST. Understanding? Easy? Okay. Now let's discuss retailer's perspective. Now this Delhi retailer. Now Delhi retailer must have has taken certain goods for 1,50,000 and Delhi retailer must have paid 1.5 lakhs ka 15,000 rupees ka IGST. Can I say this retailer must be getting or will get the ITC of 15,000 rupees or IGST? Yes. So here it will come as 15,000. Okay. Now Delhi retailer is selling the goods further to the consumer for 2 lakh rupees. And he's also from Delhi. Can I say this is intrastate transaction? If it is intrastate transaction, can I say GST of 10% will be applicable? So CGST, SGST will be applicable. So CGST, SGST matlab 10,000 and 10,000, which will be 20,000 rupees ka total GST. Correct? So what is retailer's output tax? Output tax is CGST 10,000 and SGST 10,000. Okay. Now we have to make two separate payments to center, one to center and one to the state. Okay. Now the question is, sir, I have limited IGST. I don't have sufficient IGST to utilize. I will utilize this IGST first against CGST, or should I utilize this against SGST first? What do you think? Of course, I will get the ITC. The question is, I will be able to utilize IGST first against CGST only, or I can use against SGST also. What do you think? In this case, please understand, they have said that it is your choice. It is your choice. You want to use IGST first against CGST, you can use that. You want to use IGST against SGST, you can do that. You want to use 5,000 against CGST and 10,000 against SGST, you can do that. They have given all the freedom to us. So first, what I will do is CGST against I will use. So 10,000 rupees minus ITC of 10,000 rupees. Perfect. My answer will come as nil. Nil as CGST liability. What is SGST liability? 10,000. How much ITC I'm left with? 10,000 minus, sorry, 15,000 minus 10,000 comes to 5,000. So my ITC will come to 5,000. So I will have to pay the SGST of 5,000 rupees. Perfect. No problem. And of course, for the consumer, there is no question of taking any ITC, or he'll have to pay the entire GST. So if you have understood this master chart, you will understand everything further. And this is very important. Like, if it is intrastate with GST to be charged, if it is interstate with GST to be charged, will I get the ITC? So this is the master chart which I want you to do in the first chapter. This is very important. Do it very carefully and do it very well. Perfect. No problem. Now, let's discuss certain points which are a bit theoretical. Now, which are those points? Let's discuss. See, which are the taxes which are subsumed under GST? Now, if you see the taxes which are subsumed, I will say that, remember 4 to 5 points. Central tax, 4 5 points. State tax, 1 2 points. Whatever it is. So let's see which are more familiar to us. Central taxes mein, central excise duty. Central excise duty has been completely subsumed. Okay, no problem. Service tax has been subsumed. Excise duty under Medicinal and Toilet Preparation Act has been subsumed. CVD and special CVD don't do this. Countervailing duty and special countervailing duty, just forget about it. Central sales tax. This is there, correct? So you can remember at least these 3 points from the central taxes. Perfect. Let's come to state taxes. In state taxes, which are the state taxes which are subsumed? Number one, you can say that entertainment tax has been subsumed. But please remember, in entertainment tax, the entertainment tax which is charged by local bodies are not subsumed. The entertainment tax which are levied by the local bodies are not subsumed. Okay, on that still that entertainment tax is applicable, which are charged by local bodies. But if it is charged by anybody else, it is subsumed. GST will be charged. Tax on lottery, you will remember. Entry tax, you'll remember. VAT, you'll remember. Luxury tax, you'll remember. And taxes on advertisement, you'll remember. Perfect. So these are the taxes which are subsumed under GST. Okay, no problem. Then, this we discussed. Let's discuss this also. Taxes which are not subsumed under GST. Taxes which are not subsumed under GST. Now, see, the first point is entertainment tax, which is levied by local bodies. Entertainment tax levied by local bodies, as we discussed right now. Okay, the first point. Custom duty is still there. Basic custom duty is still there. It is not yet subsumed. Whenever you'll import the goods, custom duty you'll have to pay. Electricity duty, GST is not applicable on electricity because electricity duty is still there. Okay. And property tax, if I say property tax is still there. Excise duty I will discuss after some point of time, and stamp duty you can consider. So this is a list which you can have to understand which are the taxes which are not subsumed. And we will take a break for 1 minute here, and we will see what till now what are the points which we have considered and which we have discussed. First of all, we discussed about this basics of GST. What is GST? Year of enactment. Who was the PM and FM? Is it applicable for Jammu and Kashmir? Is it GST is applicable on what? Goods and services. Which is the first country to implement GST? That is France in 1954. Then we saw that GST revenue Maharashtra is leading. Earlier law kya tha? What was the earlier law? In case of goods, if you manufacture the goods, excise duty, that revenue will go to central government. If you sell the goods, if it is intrastate, VAT will be applicable. That revenue will go to state government. If you say interstate, in case of interstate, central sales tax CST will be applicable, and that revenue will go to central. Perfect. And in case of service tax, it will go to the central government. Perfect. What is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax? That was a simple point. The basic concept of input tax credit, which we saw. Then we saw that, it is not necessary that for availing the input tax credit, my inward supply should exactly be the same as my outward supply. Not required. If my outward supply is teaching, I can take all the ITCs which I have taken while providing that outward supply. For example, I took AC, I took services, I took laptop, I took camera. Whatever GST I must have paid at the time of purchase, I will always get the credit of that particular thing. Okay. Now, what was the need of introducing GST? When VAT was there any need? Inward VAT, outward VAT? No need. But the problem came when my inward tax is state tax and my outward tax is central tax. My inward tax is central tax and my outward tax is state tax. There was a problem. And because I was not going to get a credit in that point, that's why that amount of tax which is charged at the earlier stage, that was getting added to my cost. And that's why I was facing double taxation. Perfect. GST is levied by whom? GST is levied by two governments, central government and state government. We follow dual GST model. Okay. CGST, SGST, IGST and duty GST. Okay. If it is intrastate supply, CGST and SGST will be applicable. If it is a UT, then CGST and UT GST will be applicable. If it is interstate supply, then in that case, IGST will be applicable. In IGST, first of all, the revenue will go to the central government, and then central government will bifurcate and keep half of the revenue with itself and will give half to the state government. And which state government, destination based, whatever will be the destination of the goods or supply, to that state government, that revenue will be distributed. Perfect. How to identify interstate, intrastate? Location of the supplier and place of supply. If they are in the same state, this is intrastate. If they're in different state, this is interstate. Okay. Now we did not discuss this. We did not discuss this. We discussed this. Which taxes are subsumed. Then we saw which state to destination based tax. So destination state. Then we saw one master chart. Understanding. Now let's do and we discuss one more thing: taxes which are not subsumed under GST. This is a list. We will discuss one more thing, and then I will take you to the book, that is Rapider, which we are going to follow, and I will tell you that what are the additional things which we need to understand. Okay, what is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax? The first thing, the meaning. It is a tax. What is this direct tax? It is a tax which is levied on income earned by the person during the previous year. Whatever will be the income I will be earning, I will have to pay tax on that. Perfect. I will have to pay tax on. Indirect tax may, it is a tax which is levied on supply of goods or services. Direct tax is on income, which means income tax is on income, and indirect tax, that is GST, is on goods and services. Incidence of tax falls on the person earning the income. The person who is actually earning the income, it will be that person's responsibility to go to the government and pay the GST. But in case of GST, sorry, one second. The person who is earning the income, it is that person's responsibility to go to the government and pay the income tax. Perfect. But in case of GST, the burden falls on the different person. Perfect. Because ultimately the burden of GST is coming on me, but I'm not going to the government and paying the GST. I'm giving this GST to Chroma, that is the supplier, and supplier is going to the government, knocking the door of the government and paying the GST. See, the incidence falls on the different person. Usually taxes are collected by the seller from the buyer and deposited the same to the government by the seller. The nature of direct tax is progressive. Higher the income, higher the tax. That's why it is progressive. But indirect tax nature is regressive. It does not matter whether your income is high or low. You are going to get taxed at the fixed rate. So for example, if Mukesh Ambani goes to buy a packet of bread, if I go to buy a packet of bread, we are going to get charged the same rate of GST. So where is Mukesh Ambani? Where is Amit Mahajan? Sorry, where is Mukesh Ambani? Where is Amit Mahajan? Still, it does not matter how much Mukesh Ambani is earning and how much Amit Mahajan is earning. That does not matter to charge GST, and that's why GST is what? Regressive. IDT is regressive. Okay. Shifting of burden. In income tax, can I shift the burden to you to pay my income tax? Of course, no. I will have to pay the income tax. Perfect. But in case of GST, I can shift the burden on the supplier. I have to shift the burden on the supplier, and supplier will go to the government and pay the GST. Understanding? Perfect. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Let's take a short break of just 2 minutes, and then we will go to the Rapider, that is the concept book, and we will discuss the things further. Right? Okay. Just take a break of 2 minutes. And after that, I will take hardly 30-35 minutes more to finish the entire chapter. Okay, guys, let's come to this point. So this is a Rapider. First of all, we'll see, we have already seen this. So this is done. Direct tax, indirect tax. Taxes which are subsumed under GST. This is also done. Perfect. Features of indirect tax. Let's come to this point. Now, this is a very basic point and you'll understand everything. An important source of revenue. Of course, for the government, this is important source of revenue. Tax on commodities and services. Of course, GST is charged on commodities and services. Shifting of burden. Now, you know this in indirect taxes. Here, the burden, ultimate burden of payment, I'm saying. See, ultimate burden of indirect tax, that is GST, will come on me only. But who will go to the government and pay the GST? That burden I'm shifting to the supplier. Perfect. So 1 is done, 2 is done, 3 is done. No perception of direct pinch, which means in direct tax, matlab in income tax, if we earn 30 lakhs, At the end of the year, I'll have to pay income tax for the entire financial year. So that becomes a direct pinch to you. And that's why income tax has a direct pinch, but in indirect tax, you won't even realize that you have paid the GST. For example, you went out and you bought a packet of chips. You paid 10 rupees, but 10 rupees had GST. Did you realize? No. That's why they said that there is no perception of direct pinch here. Is it inflationary? Of course, this is inflationary. If the batch is of 5,000 rupees, and if I add 10% of GST on that, it will become 5,500 rupees. Correct? So this is definitely inflationary. It has a wider tax base. It has a wider tax base because richest of the rich person and poorest of the poor person, everybody will have to pay the GST. Correct? It promotes social welfare. Yes, we know that. Correct? Regressive in nature. GST is what? Regressive. It does not matter how much you're earning, but still you'll have to pay the same rate of GST. Everybody will have to pay the same rate of GST. Which is the first country to implement GST? This is France in 1954. We discussed. GST model has a dual GST model. See, that is the central government and state government. Right? Now, what is the concept of GST? See, GST is a value added tax. So, what is the meaning of value added tax? If there is no value addition, GST will not be applicable? No, GST will not be applicable. Sir, can you give an example? Definitely, yes. See, there is one person A, B, and C. C is a consumer, B is a retailer, A is a manufacturer. Okay. Now, say for example, A sold certain goods to B for 1 lakh, right? And 10,000 GST is charged. Okay. B did not add any value to it, and B sold the same goods for 1 lakh rupees only. And he will charge 10,000 rupees. Now, please tell me, what will be B's outward tax? 10,000. What will be B's ITC? What will be B's ITC? ITC is going to be 10,000. Will there be any requirement of payment of GST? No. So basically, if there is no value addition, there will not be any GST liability. And that's why they are saying that GST is a value added tax on sale or services or both. Understanding? So, ये point हो गया. GST is a destination based tax. GST is a destination based tax. We already know this. GST offers comprehensive and continuous chain of tax credit because at every level you get a tax credit. Okay. GST where burden is borne by the final consumer. Please understand, the person who is ultimately going to pay that amount, pay as in feel that burden of that amount is going to be the consumer. Correct? Okay. Then I will give this amount to you and you go to the government and pay the GST. You are the supplier, I'm the consumer. I will pay the GST, but I will give it to you and you will go to the government. और उसको क्या बोलते हैं? What will you say? What will you call this? You will call this as shifting of burden. Shifting of burden of payment of GST, but ultimate burden of tax is coming on the final consumer only. So GST where burden is borne by the final consumer. GST eliminates cascading effect of tax. You already know this now. Since you are getting credit at every level, in nobody's cost, earlier level tax is getting included. And that's why there is no tax on tax in GST because you are getting credit at every level. Okay. GST brings uniform tax structure all over India. Yes. Okay. Concept of GST, whatever must be the deficiencies, government thought that GST will be a cure for ills of erstwhile indirect tax. Perfect. Now, this is the master chart which we discussed. Let's discuss about deficiencies in VAT. Now, theoretical points you'll understand. See, deficiencies in VAT. Number one, double taxation. Why double taxation? I will give you one simple example. Earlier, what used to happen is, I used to make a software. Now, selling of software is like selling of or providing of service, provision of service. But I was putting that software in a pen drive and I'm selling that pen drive. Now, if you see the definition of VAT, if goods are sold, VAT is applicable. And if service is given, service tax is applicable. Selling of software is falling under services definition. And selling of pen drive is falling under goods ka definition. And that's why VAT was also getting charged and service tax was also getting charged. Because pen drive is getting sold. That's why goods are getting sold. And of course, service is also getting provided, because main point is what? Main point is software. And that's why both the taxes were getting applicable. And this was leading to double taxation. Are you understanding? Just 1 second. Okay. So this is the point of double taxation. Now, set off of SENVAT and state VAT. Now, what is the meaning of SENVAT? Please understand. Earlier, whatever will be the inward supply on which central tax was applicable, which means it can be excise duty, it can be service tax, or it can be central sales tax. So I was getting a credit of this, right? So credit of all the central taxes was known as SENVAT. Credit of all the central taxes was known as SENVAT. Understanding? Credit of all the central taxes was known as SENVAT. So set off of SENVAT and set off of state VAT, matlab set off of SENVAT against the state VAT. Was it possible? No, because my inward was central tax, my outward was state VAT. That's why the set off was not possible. We have already seen this. Easy. Several local taxes in the state were not subsumed in the state VAT. Matlab luxury tax was charged additionally, entertainment tax was charged additionally, which were not subsumed under GST, which were not subsumed under VAT. These were additionally charged. So there was an additional burden. Non-integration of VAT and service tax exactly be the same. My inward tax is VAT, which I've paid, and my outward tax is service tax. I'm not able to use my VAT credit against my outward tax or service tax. Same point. When goods were manufactured and sold, both excise duty and state level VAT were levied. Earlier, what used to happen is, see, you will find this example here. Assessable value is 1000. Excise duty, 1 second. Yeah. Assessable value was 1000 and the excise duty was 12.5%. That is 125. Taxable value of for VAT is 1125. Okay. Now, if I'm selling it further, can I say VAT will be applicable? Yes. And if VAT is applicable, that is 14.3, that is applicable on 1125. If 1125 taxable value is 112, if the VAT is applicable on 1125, can I say it has a component of 125 also? Understanding? So that's why it was double taxation. This is basically cascading effect. This has a cascading effect, tax on tax. Correct? So this was also a major problem. Okay. Next point, destination based tax. GST is a destination based tax. Okay. Now the point is, sir, what is intrastate transfer? When location of the supplier and place of supply are in the same state, then it is intrastate transfer. If location of the supplier and place of supply are in different states, then it is interstate transfer. Correct? Okay. How to decide IGST or CGST SGST while raising invoices? See, if location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state, then it is intrastate, and on that CGST SGST will be applicable. Perfect. If both are in different states, like supplier's location and place of supply are in different states, then it is interstate transaction and IGST will be applicable. Perfect. Okay. Now, sir, what is GST Common Portal? I will explain. What is GST Compensation Cess? I will explain. Okay. I will go to that point. 1 second. Where is it? Yes. Okay. This we saw. Now we have to see. Okay. First, we'll see GST applicability. Okay. Come here. Let's discuss the GST applicability. So GST is levied on all goods and services except for alcoholic liquor for human consumption, which means GST is applicable on all. Okay. Except for alcoholic liquor for human consumption and petroleum crude, diesel, petrol, aviation turbine fuel. aviation turbine fuel, and natural gas. So basically, on these products, GST will not be applicable. Perfect? Okay. Now, on alcoholic liquor for human consumption, they said GST will not be applicable because state government is very, very adamant on this part. Why you do whatever? I am not going to leave my bottle for GST because the major revenue for the state government, major revenue of the state government comes from alcohol. Approximately 200 to 300% of taxes are coming from alcohol. Now, please try to understand this point. If these many taxes are coming from alcohol, and if we start charging GST on that, for example, the value, the cost is 100, right? And if taxes are 200%, if taxes are 200%, and if we start charging GST, that is 28%. Maximum if we charge 28%. So can I say, okay, tax is usually 200, 100, 200, 400. It varies from state to state, right? So if a state is charging 200% tax, and if we say that GST will be applicable, and now only 28% will be charged, or from that also, state will get only half, which is 14%. Don't you think for the state government, this will be the biggest hit, revenue hit, from 200% straight to 14%? That's why government was very clear. I'm not going to leave my alcohol bottle. I'm not going to leave my beer. I'm not going to leave my whiskey bottle. I'm going to keep this alcohol, that taxation with us. We are not going to give it to anybody, and GST will not be charged on this point. Understanding? So, if we talk about the GST applicability on alcohol, GST will not be applicable on alcohol because the state government's revenue is huge from the alcohol taxes. Which are the taxes which are charged on alcohol currently? Number one, excise duty at the time of manufacture. And if it is intrastate, then VAT. If it is interstate, then it is CST. Understanding? Easy? Okay. And no GST. Similarly, let's discuss this about. Let's discuss more about this. At the time of COVID, if you remember, at the time of COVID, if you remember, all the temples were closed. All the masjids were closed. All the Jain temples were closed. Gurudwara were closed. Everything was closed. But what was open? Alcohol shops were open. People were standing in the queues to buy alcohol. Why was government allowing alcohol to get sold? Because alcohol ka revenue to the state government is huge, and that's why. And at that point of time during COVID, state governments needed money to spend on people, and that's why they were encouraging you to drink more and more alcohol so that the state government will get more money in the form of taxes. Are you understanding how important alcohol is for the state government? So this is the first point. The second point, let's discuss tax on petrol. Do you think, okay, right now there is no tax on petrol, but I want to ask you one genuine question. Do you think GST should be applicable? Sorry, as such, right now there is no GST on petrol. There is no GST on petrol, but I want to ask you one thing. Can you please tell me, should GST be applicable on petrol? Should GST be applicable on petrol? What do you think? Right now there is no GST on petrol. Now let's understand the mechanics. See, right now, actually, if you see the cost, the petrol is costing around 50. Okay, around 50. Depends which state you're considering, but around 50 it is costing. And the taxes are 100%. Did you know this? Taxes are 100%. Now, since the taxes are 100%, sorry, some problem with my pen. Correct? So that's why the amount which you are paying for the petrol is 100 rupees. Of course, this tax is not GST. Okay. Now this is 100% tax. Now the point is, if you are saying that GST should not be introduced because it will be a burden for us, you are wrong. it will not be burden for us. I'm saying that please introduce GST, because if you introduce GST and chalo, if you use the highest rate, that is 28%, can I say that GST rate will be 28%, which will be reduced from 100%? So for us, it is going to be beneficial like anything, because we will have to pay lesser amount for the petrol. But if we think from our perspective, GST should be applicable. But if you think from government's perspective, GST should not be applicable, because right now government is getting 100% and now government will get only 28%. It was clearly specified in GST Council meeting by the finance minister that unless and until we get any alternative revenue for this 72% difference, which we will not get if we implement GST, once we will get the alternate source of revenue to earn, then we will start charging GST on that. But till then, we will not shift to GST. We will charge normal taxes, which are existing taxes, which are getting charged on petrol. Are you understanding? And there are many state governments which want to charge GST now, but there are many state governments which are saying, no, 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 we want to take the revenue of this. So still there is a, there is a, some people are saying that should be charged, the GST should be charged. Some people, some state governments are saying GST should not be charged. So there has to be some kind of unity so that the GST will be charged on petrol, right? So if we come here and see on petroleum crude, high-speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, and aviation turbine fuel, whether excise duty will be applicable? Yes, excise duty is applicable. Whether VAT is applicable? Yes, but what is not charged? GST is not. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Tobacco and tobacco products. Tobacco and tobacco products. On that, excise duty is charged. Yes. VAT is not charged, but GST is charged. Matlab, GST is applicable on tobacco and tobacco products, but they have kept the right to charge excise duty also. They have kept the right to charge excise duty, also. So both the things are charged, excise duty and GST. And for other goods, only GST is charged. Now, let's discuss one more thing about alcohol. Please understand, alcohol is not there in GST law. In GST law, alcohol is not there. So if you want to charge tax, that is, if you want to charge GST on alcohol, you have to amend the GST law. Understanding, because GST is alcohol is not included in GST law, because no state government agreed to this while implementing GST. Everybody said no, no to alcohol. But if we talk about petrol, petrol is there in GST law. Petrol is there in GST law. But currently, they have said that we will notify when GST will be applicable on petrol. So we are waiting for the notification. Right now, it is not taxed, but it is there in GST law. But if they want to charge GST on petrol, they can charge from tomorrow without any problem. But in case of alcohol, they can't charge from tomorrow because they will have to amend the GST. Understanding the difference between alcohol and petrol, alcohol is not included in GST law. Petrol is included in GST law. And if you want to start charging GST on petrol, you will have to just issue one notification. That's it. Understanding? Pakka. Okay. Opium, Indian hemp, other narcotic drugs, which is your favorite, right? You consume this, right? Okay. So on that, GST will be applicable, but along with that, state excise is also there. So GST is applicable and state excise is also applicable on this in opium, Indian hemp, other narcotic drug. But since this is not allowed, this is illegal, it does not matter for the government. It does not matter for the government. See, please try to understand, there are certain cases where you get a license to grow these plants. So if you are getting some license to grow these plants for medicinal purposes, for them, GST is also charged and excise duty is also charged. Understanding? Okay. So this is done. Now let's come back to this point. So GST applicability is absolutely done and dusted. Correct? This is the same point. Benefits of GST. Now let's see what are the benefits of GST. We'll just read it once. Boost to Make in India initiative. Of course. Why? Because since lower cost due to reduced taxes. Since there are no multiple taxes, right? There is only one tax. That's why the costs have been reduced. If the costs are reduced, people are more encouraged to make in India. Number one. Now it will be like your BCom exam, active passive. Same example. See, enhanced investment, export and employment, ease of doing business, which means because of which, since there is some kind of unity in taxes. That's why people outside India also feel that it will be easy for us to do business in India. That's why they are investing more in India because there are not much compliance. So enhanced investments, export has increased, employment has increased, ease of doing business because there are no multiple laws. There is only one GST law. Okay. There is a certainty in tax administration because you have to take only one GST registration and you have to make a payment of GST. You don't need to pay multiple taxes. Ease of doing business, simpler tax regime, reduction in multiple tax laws, procedures, rates of tax across the country. So basically, procedures are lesser. Earlier, what used to happen? I used to take multiple registrations. I used to file multiple returns. I don't need to do that now. Benefits to small traders. These are the benefits to the small traders. Correct? So GST has increased the threshold for GST registration. Okay. Now, earlier, if I'm not wrong, the service tax ke liye, the revenue, the threshold was 10 lakhs. If you cross 10 lakhs, you'll have to take the registration. But in GST, they have made it as 20 lakhs. This is a benefit for so till 20 lakhs, you're not required to take any registration. GST focuses on automation, automated procedures with a greater use of IT, which gives us a better flow of administration. You'll understand in further chapters, but they are using great amount of information technology. You'll understand it. Okay. Because they have only one portal. For registration also, they have one portal. For payment also, on that portal, you will make a payment. You want to take the registration, you have to file the returns, you have to go to that portal and file the returns. There is only one portal. Ease of doing business. Reduction in compliance cost, of course, as I said. Again, same points are coming again and again. Benefits to small traders, again. GST has increased the threshold for GST. So same point. Okay. Sir, what is GST Council? Come here. I will tell you what is GST. These difference is done. Taxes subsumed is done. GST compensation. I had written that. GST Council. Correct. Okay. What is this GST Council? Look here. Article 279A empowers the president to constitute GST Council. Matlab, president should have the power to constitute GST Council. So which article is giving that power? Article 279A is giving that power. So what does this GST Council do? For identifying your GST rate, for identifying the exemption threshold, that up to 20 lakhs there is no registration requirement. Everything is decided by GST Council. Correct? If we want to give any exemption to one specific state, GST Council can decide that. If you want to give exemption specifically to these kind of industrialists, they can give this exemption. Perfect. This is constituted. This GST Council is constituted on 15th of September 2016. Very good. What is the constitution? The constitution is there will be one chairperson and there will be certain members. Who will be the chairperson? Union Finance Minister is going to be the chairperson. And if we talk about members, you can just read it once. Union Minister of State in charge of Revenue or Finance. And another person is Minister in charge of Finance or Taxation. Okay. But I want you to remember this at least. Chairperson is Union Finance Minister. Okay. Now, whatever decision is taken, that exemption should be given to these people. This is a decision, right? This decision will be taken on majority of people. But the weight, like majority should give the decision in favor, having more than 3/4 of the weighted votes present and voting. Matlab, which should be having at least 75% of weight. Now, the point is, what is the meaning of weightage? How will you identify weightage? See, this is in terms of number of people. This is in terms of weightage. Both should be there. Number of people may majority should say yes, and majority should be having a weight of more than 75%. Now, how to identify that weight? Center has a weightage. If center says yes to something, it has a weightage of only 33.33%. So basically, only center cannot make the law. they have to ask the states also. Correct? And if you see the states, it is only 66.66%, which means only states can't also make the law. They have to ask the center. And that's why it is a combination of center and state. Center should also say yes, and state also should say yes. So if all the states say yes, it is on only 66.66%. You can't make a law, you have to ask the state. And only center wants to make a law, they also can't make a law because you have to ask the sorry. If all the states will have to make a law, they can't make a law because they will have to ask the center. Correct? And if the center wants to make a law, they can't make a law because they have to ask the state. Understanding? So this is very well thought point which is inserted. So what are the recommendation of GST Council? Again, a one-time read. They can identify the tax rates. They can identify the exemptions in GST. They can set threshold limits. They can do the dispute resolution. If they want to give if they want to make any special provisions with respect to special category states, they can do that. And which are the special category states? These are the special category states. So basically, these are the recommendations of the GST Council. Understanding? Again, GST Council, what will you remember? You will remember this. Constitution mein chairperson is Union Finance Minister. Weightage of center is 33.33%. State is 66.66%. What are the recommendations? Tax rates, exemptions, threshold limits, dispute resolution, and if they want to give any benefit to special category states, they can do that. Understanding? So let's come back here and see whether this is done. Yes, GST Council is done here. Perfect. You can do only that much. I will share the notes with you. No problem. Don't worry. Now, sir, what is GSPs and ASPs? See, what happens is, now you must have seen. Okay, let's discuss both the things. GST Common Portal. First, we'll discuss about GST Common Portal. What is GST Common Portal? GST Common Portal is www.gst.gov.in. It is also known as GST Electronic Portal. Okay. Now the point is, who manages this GST Common Portal? GST Network. It is managed by GSTN. Just ek bar, you just need to read this once. Okay, GST Network. Okay. Now, what is this common portal? Why this is called as common portal? Because if you want to take a registration, go to this portal. If you want to make a payment, go to this portal. If you want to file the returns, go to this portal. If you want to if you want to pay CGST, go to this portal. If you want to pay IGST, go to this portal. If you want to pay SGST, go to this portal. So it has a common portal where you have to just come on this portal and do whatever you want to do in GST. Everything will be under one roof. And that's why this is called as GST Common Portal. Simple words. Understanding? Now let's discuss about GSPs and ASPs. What is the meaning of GSP and ASP? GSP is GST Suvidha Provider. Now what is the meaning of this GST Suvidha Provider? Now see, government is saying that if you want to file the return, you can come on our portal. But they have identified certain GSPs. They have given the license to some GSPs, which means some people who want to make the interface more user friendly. They want to make the interface very user friendly. Now, if you want to file the return, income tax return, for example, you can go on income tax portal. You can download the utility. You can fill it. You can submit it. Number one. You can also go to clear tax. And you can file the return, and people feel that clear tax is more easy to file the return. Right? So, can I say they have given clear tax that right to make that thing easy for the people? Yes. So GSPs do the same thing. GSPs make the interface very familiar and easy for the people to use, so that they will be able to file. So if you want to file the return, you can go on portal or you can go on GSP. GSP is clear tax, for example. Right? If you want to make a payment, you can go on portal or you can go to GSPs. So GSPs are like additional people who can give you an interface to file the returns and do the GST compliances in simple word. Right? So see here, GSPs have access to GST systems and have the capability to develop applications to be used by the taxpayers for interacting with GSTN. GSPs develop applications having features like return filing, reconciliation of purchase register data with auto-populated data for acceptance. This you can read this once. GSP is an additional channel. This is important. GSP is an additional channel being made available for facilitating the taxpayers for performing some of the functions, and use of their services is optional. If you want to go there, you can go. Otherwise, you can directly go on the GST portal, right? And GSPs may take an application of some technology, right? Some technology providers, right? So GSPs may take help of application service providers, which are ASPs, who act as a link between taxpayers and GSPs. The technical part, the information technology who is handling, that person is known as application service provider. Example is clear. This is again one time read. Understanding? No problem in till here. So GSP ASP is done. Now only one part is left, that is constitutional provisions. So what are the things which we have done in this chapter, which are theory parts? Number one, GST common portal we saw. After that, we saw GST applicability. Then benefits of GST, GST council, GSPs, ASPs. What are these GSPs, ASPs? And we saw some benefits of GST. So you just need to read the theory once, and according to me, which questions are very important, I will tell you at the end. According to me, you can do those questions for the exams. Okay. So two points are left. Number one, what is GST compensation says? That is one thing. And last part is need for constitutional amendment and constitutional provisions. So let's start with this. And I want you to read only this much. No need to read anything else. Okay. Okay. Now, constitutional provisions, first part. Article 265 says that no tax will be levied or collected except for the authority of law. If you don't have the authority, you can't levy taxes. If you don't have the authority, you can't levy taxes. But the question is, who can make the law? Who can make the law? This is the question, right? Because Article 265 says you can't make the law if you don't have the authority. But who will give you the authority? Constitution will give you the authority. The question is, who can make the law? Law can be made by parliament or state legislature. Understanding? No problem. Who can make the law? This is given in Article 245, where they have said that parliament can also make the law and state legislature can also make the law. Parliament can make the law for whole or part of India, and state legislature can make the law for whole or part of the state. Understanding? And जो India है ना, India follows dual GST model, where it has federal structure, where both central government and state government can make the laws. Superb, no problem. Okay. So two articles we saw, Article 265 and Article 241. 265 says you should have the authority. 245 says parliament and state legislatures have the authority. Okay. Now the point is, which laws will be made by the parliament? Which laws will be made by the state legislature? For that, we have Article 246. Distribution of power. You must have learned this earlier somewhere. The seventh schedule is talking about the distribution of power. In case of union list, only central government can make the laws. In case of state list, only state government can make the laws. And in case of concurrent list, state government and central government both can make the laws. And this list has subjects on which these governments can make the laws. Now, what are the subjects which are mentioned in Union List? Defense, Income Tax Act, Service Tax, Customs, Central Sales Tax, Central Excise. In all these topics, who can make the law? Only central government. Your state government can't interfere. Now, if I talk about state list, only state government can make the law, which means police, agriculture, VAT, state excise, and entertainment. On these topics, only state government can make the law. And if I talk about concurrent list, both of them can make the law, which means marriage, education, like education state board and international state board and center board, perfect, and medical. Perfect. Okay. Why was a need of introduction change in the constitution? Like, why was a need of amendment in the constitution? Because introduction of excise duty, who will make the law? Central government. VAT, who will make the law? State government. Service tax, who will make the law? Central. So earlier, they had given powers to the state government to make the laws on excise duty, to charge tax of excise duty, and they had given the power to the state government to charge tax of VAT. They had given power to the central government to charge tax of service tax, but there was no mention of GST in the constitution. And that's why we had to amend the constitution, and that's why they came up with 101st Amendment of the constitution. They had to amend it, and they said that now constitution will be amended and GST will also be applicable. And as per 246A, center and state, both the government can make the law and levy the tax. That is of GST. Understanding? Now the point is, can I say we had seen one thing, that in IGST, first the GST will be collected by central government and then it will be distributed to the state government. Now, this central government should have the authority first to collect, right? And that's why they made one more article, Article 269A, which gave the power to central government to collect the taxes entirely of IGST, and then you apportion between state and understanding. Perfect. So these are the constitutional provisions. The first article is talking about you should have the power. Second article, that is 245, talks about parliament and state legislature can make the laws. Now, who can make the law for which subject? That is given under Article 246. Then they realized that GST is nowhere mentioned. That's why they made Article 246A, and they said state and center both can make the laws for GST. And after that, they mentioned in Article 269A, in IGST, first the amount will be collected by the center and then it will be apportioned between state and center. Perfect. So this is all about your constitutional provision, and the last part which is left, that is GST compensation cess. So what is the meaning of GST compensation cess? And after that, our lecture will chapter will be over and lecture will be over. Okay. And in this first chapter, I think this much discussion is sufficient and enough. Okay. Dekho. GST compensation cess. What is the meaning of GST compensation cess? I will give you one simple example. In case of tobacco, approximately 100% of the taxes are charged. 100% of taxes are charged. And before introduction of GST, on this, VAT was charged. So can I say VAT is getting charged on tobacco? So which means the government to which the amount is paid is state government. So state government is enjoying 100% of taxes of tobacco, which is, say for example, 10,000 crores. Who is enjoying this 10,000 crores? Enjoying state government. Now, central government came to negotiate for GST. And when they came to negotiate the GST part, central government said, boss, understand one thing. There are a lot of problems which are happening because of non-introduction of GST, and that's why we have to introduce GST on tobacco as well. State government said, no, I will not agree for tobacco, because from tobacco, I am getting approximately 10,000 crores revenue from tobacco. Because if you start charging GST on that, the revenue, that is the amount of GST, will be charged at is 28%. If 28% GST is charged, can I say from that only 14% GST ka revenue will be made or paid to the state government every month? Now, right now, what is the amount or what is the percentage which is getting paid to the state government? 100% of taxes. And right now, how much amount will they get? 14% of taxes. Do you think state government will agree to this part? Do you think state government will agree to this part? 100% no. State government said that I'm not going to agree to this because I'm facing a lot of revenue loss in this particular transaction. Now, introduction of GST will impact state government's revenue, right? And that's why central government had to do something to convince the state government for saying yes to GST. And that's why central government said one thing. Central government said, what if we sit on one table and we start discussing the things? Whatever will be the loss which you will face due to due to introduction of GST, whatever loss you will face, what if we compensate that loss to you? We give that loss back to you. Then state government says that If we don't introduce GST, we are getting 100%. If we introduce GST, we actually will get 14%, but whatever will be the loss, that loss will be compensated by the central government. Then what is the harm? What is the harm in saying yes for GST? And that's why state government said yes to central government, and they said yes to the GST. Now, please try to understand. Central government had already given some kind of assurance that central government will give that compensation to the state government. The question comes, from where will that central government get the revenue? Boss, central government will have to pay that amount to state government, right? Central government will have to compensate the state government. So can I say central government should have that money to pay the state government? Right? And that's why they started charging GST compensation cess from us. So central government collects the cess from us, and the central government gives that cess to the state government. Sir, why is this called a cess? Because please try to understand the difference between tax and cess. The tax is also paid to the government, and cess is also paid to the government. But tax can be used for multiple reasons, infrastructure, education, or anything. But cess can be used only for that particular purpose for which it is collected. So this is a GST compensation cess which is getting collected from us, and since it is a cess, it will be paid only and only to the state government for as a compensation. Are you understanding? So because of GST, see, please try to understand, try to digest this fact. Central government wanted to help us by introduction of GST, right? Because of no no double taxation, final burden will be reduced to the on the consumer and everything. Okay, government is saying that GST will be helpful for the final consumer only. Fine, no problem. But for okay, for helping the customers, you started you implemented GST. Since you implemented GST, somebody got hurt, that is state government. Since state government got hurt, you wanted to compensate the state government. And since you wanted to compensate the state government, you charged GST compensation cess from us. Now, how logical is this? How logical is this? GST was introduced for us. Because of introduction of GST, somebody else is crying. To compensate that, GST compensation cess is collected from us only. So is this right? I don't know. I don't know whether this is right or no, but this is what which is happening here. So GST compensation cess is that cess which is collected from us to compensate the state governments because the losses which the state governments have incurred because of introduction of GST. Right? So please understand, GST compensation cess at specified rate has been imposed under this act. Goods and Services Tax Compensation to States Cess Act 2017. Purpose is to provide for compensation to the states for the loss of revenue arising on account of implementation of GST. So for how many years we will charge the GST? Charge the cess for the period of 5 years from the introduction of SGST Act. From the date on which we introduced SGST Act, from that day, 5 years should be applicable. For 5 years, we will charge GST compensation. Understanding? Perfect, ekdam. So in the year 2022, 5 years should be completed, right? No, they extended the time period for charging GST compensation cess till 31st of March 2026. And they said till 31st of March 2026, we will start or we will continue charging GST compensations. Understanding? No problem. Sir, it is applicable on what exactly? Is it applicable on all? No. It is applicable on specified luxury items, demerit goods like pan masala, tobacco, aerated waters, which means cold drinks, motor cars, etc. Computed on value of taxable. So, by your understanding, it is not applicable on all, it is applicable only on these products. Understanding? So, this is your GST compensation cess. The cess is the amount which is collected by the central government from us to compensate the state government for the losses which the state government incurred due to introduction of GST. Are you clear? Right? So this is how we are done with the first chapter of. Now, let's take a quick recap. Number one, we saw direct tax, indirect tax difference, taxes which are subsumed. Then, okay, what are the important points which I want you to remember? This can come in the exam. This can come in the exam. Features of indirect tax can come in the exam. Uh, then, deficiencies in VAT, you can just read it once. Destination based tax, what is interstate? Intrastate, you know this now. GST compensation says read this just to understand. Just to understand what is it, because it is important. Then GST applicability, alcohol pay, what kind of tax is applicable? If it comes for MCQs, you should know. Then need for constitutional amendment, you can just read once. That's it. Baki everything you know. So basically, be very clear. So this chapter is not very, very, very important from exam perspective, but this chapter is important to create a base for the next subsequent chapters. So in this chapter, we saw, what is the meaning of ITC, why there was a need of introduction of GST, what was the problem earlier. Then we saw that if I have ITC of IGST, can I utilize against CGST, HGST? In which proportion? In any proportion. If I have a ITC of CGST, HGST, can I utilize against IGST ka outward? Yes, I can utilize against IGST outward. So this is creating a base for your further chapters. I hope that you are clear with the first chapter which we discussed. I hope that you are clear with all the concepts which we discussed in this chapter. We took around 2 hours to complete this entire chapter. If you do this much, it is sufficient. If you do this much, this is sufficient. I will share the notes in the app and also on the Telegram, so you can find these notes. This Rapider ka first chapter, and also the handwritten notes which I had written. I will share everything on the group. Don't worry, right? So, guys, I hope that this session was helpful, and if you feel that this is making any kind of value addition in your GST knowledge, and this is helping you somewhere in your GST preparation, please share this with share your reviews with all your friends, and you can also tell your friends to consider buying this practice batch. And I hope that I'm telling you that this will be worth it, and every penny which you're spending, this will be an investment and not your cost. That's my guarantee. I will be there for you guys till the end, so don't worry. And let's make this attempt as your final attempt. And that's it for today. This is Amit Mahajan. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. See you and take care. Bye bye.